Welcome back to Real Roots Radio. My name is Peyton Burdett. So excited to be chatting with Soraya and Lucia Sullivan of the Sullivan Sisters. How are the two of you doing today?
We're
Good.
good. Thank
Yeah.
you for having us.
Yeah, so excited to have you on the airwaves with us today. You guys have a new single out now called Cold Front. Excited to talk a little bit more about that single. But first, I just want to get to know you two a little bit more. You guys both got started down in North Carolina. What all do you remember about being youngsters and getting into bluegrass music?
Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. There were these sisters that played that we saw around that were a little bit older than us, and we thought that they were really cool. So we became friends with them and then found out who their teachers were and started taking lessons from them.
Hmm.
And we just started going to the fiddlers conventions in that area. And yeah, that was just a ton of fun. And we made a lot of friends in the music growing up. So it was always just a really great time jamming when we were really little.
Yeah.
Yeah, we always go to the Galax Fiddlers Convention.
Hmm.
And that just happened last week, actually. We got back about 2 days ago from that. So it's always a nice trip down memory lane to be back there.
Early on when you guys were getting started, was there any sort of like argument over who was going to play the banjo, who was going to play the guitar? Did you guys just kind of naturally fall into those instruments?
I don't think there was ever any argument. I think
No.
Soraya started on Suzuki guitar when she was about, how old
Mhm.
were you, 7?
I was, yeah, 7 or 8. There was
Yeah.
this really cool classical guitarist that I knew, and I wanted to
Hmm.
be just like her. So I started on Suzuki, and they made me play Mary Had a Little Lamb for a month straight until I switched to bluegrass.
Yeah. So around that time, I started taking banjo lessons. I think because my mom kind of dabbled in banjo at that same time, and I was really interested in listening to her practice. So she started me on lessons, and then around that time, she realized how fun bluegrass was. So she made the switch. Yeah.
When you got started on banjo, was it all Earl Scruggs style? Did you get started on clawhammer? What was your early banjo experience?
Was all Earl Scruggs. So I
Okay.
only started, messing around with Clawhammer about a year and a half ago or something. But up
Okay.
until then, just Earl. So yeah.
Yeah. Your family ends up in Chicago of all places. Not necessarily a city people might first think of and think of bluegrass music, but it's where, of course, Bill Monroe first recorded with Lester and Earl. When I think of Chicago, I think of Special Consensus. So what was it like living in Chicago, and how did living there kind of impact the music you guys make now?
It's definitely had such a big impact. Yeah, the scene here, it's very small but mighty. So we were
Hmm.
lucky to be adopted by some really awesome groups and people here that have taken us under their wings. The
Yeah.
Hen House Prowlers are here.
Hmm.
They're so awesome. Same with Chip Covington. He ran a bluegrass series right here in Evanston for a long time. So some of our first performances were opening up for bigger bands there when we were like 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's not a lot of people our age here to play with, but there's
Hmm.
definitely a thriving scene here for
Yeah.
people.
And they're all so supportive. So they've
Yes.
really
So,
helped us keep going. It's been great.
mhm.
When did you two first start performing under the name like the Sullivan Sisters?
So I
2015, I think, right when
2015.
we first moved here.
Yeah, we started on small things like birthday parties and farmers markets with our cases open. And then,
Soraya, now you're at Berklee. I know, Lucia, you're going to be there in a couple of weeks. I wanted to ask you about your experience at Berklee and how you've kind of learned and grown in your time there so far. When I think of Berklee, the first two names that jump out are Sierra Hull and Molly Tuttle, two of the best. So yeah, what has your experience been like at Berklee in their bluegrass program?
My experience has been really awesome so far. Yeah, I've been there for 2 years now, and you just meet so many awesome people who love playing bluegrass and love jamming all the time. So that's been a ton of fun. And my favorite thing has really been the amount that they let you do just a little bit of everything outside of bluegrass. So I've been there, I've been taking like music business classes, songwriting classes, all of this really cool stuff that has just helped grow me both like musically and professionally too, and help
Mhm.
set me up to have a career.
I first learned about you all last either September or October at IBMA's World of Bluegrass. You guys were showcase artists. That's where you eventually got signed to Dark Shadow Recording. Take me back to last September at IBMA's World of Bluegrass, being showcase artists, getting signed. How crazy of a week was that for you guys?
Oh my gosh. It was like a whirlwind.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was crazy.
It was awesome, but I think I probably slept for like a month straight
Yeah.
after that. We had like so many showcases every day. We were just running around all over the place. We had a booth too, so we were also running the booth.
Hmm.
So it was like we were everywhere all at once. And it was, yeah,
Yeah, it was such a fun week.
it really was. Yeah.
I realize now that I lied to you. I didn't first learn about you all then. I learned about you, I think a couple months earlier. I think it was August. You guys put out a 4-track EP called Carolina Bluebird. I remember spinning that title track on the radio. What has it been like? What was it like, I guess, first recording that EP independently, and how is that different to working with Dark Shadow?
Yeah, I mean, we were in high school when we recorded that EP. So the whole premise of that was that we wanted to get something recorded before I went off to college to kind of
Hmm.
mark that moment in time, which it was a great experience recording it. We recorded with Steve Rashid, this awesome producer right here in Evanston, and we had John Goldfein, the bass player from
Hmm.
the Henhouse Prowlers, come in and play with us. So it was just a very like close friends kind of recording experience that
Mhm.
was a great entry into the world of recording
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
putting music out. We had to learn how to do all of that stuff ourselves, how to get it onto streaming platforms and all of those things, which was a very new experience, but it was really fun and we learned a lot from it. Yeah, and it's been awesome to now be able to shift over to working with the label for those
Hmm.
things. Yeah.
Let them handle all that nonsense.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes, focus on making the music.
Yeah. I did see that working with producer Stephen Mogen, with recording this new single, he kind of pushed you guys in studio to do something a little bit different, didn't he?
He
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
did, yeah. This was the first time that we had ever tried to improvise in the studio.
He
Was
really
that, did
he
that kind of come naturally at first, or what was that? What was it like trying to work through that?
he definitely pushes us to do some things we do not expect in the studio, but the kinds of advice he gives us, he really helps us kind of like make our songs very they feel like our songs, and he's just really good at
Mhm.
arranging stuff. So that was definitely fun to improvise. It took us a sec to kind of, figure out what we're gonna do, but
Yeah.
it turned out okay.
That's all that matters. It sounds
Yeah.
good now.
It's the new single from the Sullivan sisters. It's called Cold Front. You wrote this song with Tim Stafford. What was it like getting to work with such a legendary singer, songwriter, and guitarist?
I did. It's been really awesome. He is so nice. We've written together, I think, 4 times now. We've actually got another write coming up in a couple of days, I think. And he is just such a great person to write with. It's like any idea that you bring to him, he's going to make it sound
Hmm.
so cool and interesting. It's like this is one of his ideas, and just the way he thinks through like melodies and chords and everything, it's pretty different from anybody else that I've written with, and it's always a lot of fun.
I was going to ask you if there were any kind of specific lessons you've learned working with him, a guy who has written thousands of songs, had hundreds of them recorded. Anything from his perspective that you just never thought of or learned as a songwriter?
I think the main thing that I've gotten from him is just he always makes the chord progressions sound so interesting.
Hmm.
And that is something like a lot of bluegrass is just like 1 4 5, which is great. And I love that. And a lot of my writing is like that. But
Hmm.
working with him, he's really pushed me to think outside of that a little bit more into how can I not only make the lyrics and the melody interesting, but also how can I keep the chord progression new and exciting.
Hmm.
And I think that Cold Front is a really good example of that.
Cold Front available now from the Sullivan sisters. It's an exciting time for you too. Lucia, congratulations on your IBMA nomination from a little while ago. I know this song got played on XM before it released, which was really exciting too. Let folks know where they can find this new single and where they can keep up with the Sullivan sisters moving forward.
Yeah, we are on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. All of our social media is Sullivan Sisters Bluegrass. Our website is sullivansistersbluegrass.com. And all of our music is on streaming platforms under the Sullivan Sisters.
SullivanSisters.com. Go check out the new single. We're going to hear it right now on Real Roots Radio. Thank you, too, for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having us.